4 minutes, please. 4 minutes of front crawl, as strong as you want. If you're warm, maybe you want to start a bit stronger. Shuffle forwards, shuffle backwards. If you're on the stairs, slide up, slide down to adjust the tension to something quite comfortable. If you're horizontal with your chords, maybe slide backwards or forwards. Remember, it is going to be about 35 minutes of some interesting work that will start to fatigue eventually. Our aim, we're looking for good technique, putting it under some stress, looking to build endurance, good technique with some fitness. We're not going to be pulling the roof down or walls down with our chords. It's not about pure strength. Swimming fast for long distances, anyway, is about endurance and repeating good, accurate movements time and time again. So keep the head nice and still, switch the shoulders, rotate the upper body from side to side. I like the idea of pulling with a very central pull with the hand under the backbone. Elbows pop out wide. Imagine you're in the pool. The elbows point to the sides, the fingertips point to the bottom. And just channeling the water back towards the feet, whether you're horizontal or vertical. Depends how you've got your chords set up. And in order to send you forwards in a straight line without the luxury of a black line on the bottom to keep you straight, we use the technique, we use your front crawl technique to help keep you swimming straight. So we're looking for the same amount of pressure applied through each paddle. Keep the hands at 180 to each other. Keep the movements, keep the angles at the elbows the same. Same trajectory of the hands under the body, same movements. Left and right in sync, but obviously at opposites to each other. So everything drives the water back and you go forwards. Good work. Now, we're going to do a fair amount of this. We're a little over halfway of this first block, guys. We're going to do a fair amount of this without the head involved in terms of turning to breathe, just so we can work on that elbow pivot, left elbow pivot, right, left, right. So each arm is symmetrical. Often what we find in the water is we get a little bit tired, we start to breathe, we lean on that opposite arm, whichever side we're breathing to, the opposite arm, we lean on that, we strain the shoulder, we push the water to the bottom of the pool, and it was a wasted cycle that could have sent the water backwards in order to send us forwards, but actually it just kind of bounced you up, elevated the head, helped your breathing, but hopefully was not ideal, sinks the legs, and it just all spirals from there. So we'll talk about the breathing later, but for now, just keep the head nice and still. If you have mounted your stretch cords vertically, remember the hips can get involved. Don't just sort of be flat and bouncing up and down like so. We're trying to, you've gone to the trouble of mounting these cords from the ceiling or from wherever, and you can get one step closer to your full stroke front crawl with the body position. Good stuff. Okay, in 15 seconds, we're going to pop out of these. We're going to pick up our dumbbells, our tins of beans, or if you've got nothing, doesn't matter. Just means you've got to work harder with the cords. In 3, 2, 1, good stuff. Okay. So pick up your, now we're just going to actually take the hands and fully mimic the full stroke motion. Okay, whether you've got weights or not, just keep it nice and slow. Whether you've got a high elbow with a relaxed hand underneath, or whether you've got sort of a straight arm recovery that if you're not sure, if you've never been filmed or thought about what happens over the surface, maybe just go with the straight. You still want to switch from side to side. You still want the body to rotate. Keep the head still. You still want the elbow to pivot just in line with the eyes, so you're pulling with the forearm and the palm. It's all helping take you forwards. Good, 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 good. Hopefully nothing's creaking, nothing's grumbling. If there's any problems, maybe just sort of go back to your chords and work on the submerged element. But you do want to bring in the surface. In 3, 2, 1, back on your chords, back on your chords. Okay, so as I mentioned, 5 minutes of work is a block. Now you've got an idea of how warm you are, how strong you're feeling. Maybe you need to shuffle forwards. Maybe you could move backwards on the stairs if you've got the luxury of this kind of arrangement. Put a little bit more effort in. So the first round was 4 on 1, 4 minutes of chords, 1 minute of surface recovery. We're now going to sort of just bounce this around a little bit. Now we're just going to go 3.5 minutes, but that leaves us with a little bit more of the surface recovery element. Okay, I'll do all the timing. You just need to work hard, focus on your technique, and finish with tired arms. Good work, everyone. Good. Head nice and still. Shoulders still. Close down that surface area. Close the gap. Don't sort of swim like a starfish with all this surface area here exposed and just finish the rotation. On the surface area, so you're nice and narrow as you switch from side to side. Don't get lazy and finish at the hips. Try to reach beyond the hips. Keep the palm pushing the water as far back for as long as possible. Don't palm up towards the hip, which will sink the hip. Try to put a little pivot in at the back of the stroke so you can actually keep pushing for longer, and then it fades into the recovery. Good work, everyone. That's 2 minutes gone, 2 minutes gone. 1.5 minutes to go before we hit 90 seconds of the recovery element. Be honest. Keep it going. We do have a fair few blocks of this, so don't overdo it just yet. Nicely done. Still working on the symmetry. Same movement, same speed, same angles through the left and the right. If you are an open water swimmer, triathlon or not, you won't have the luxury of the black line to follow. Lane ropes to keep you swimming straight, so you do need your technique to be as best and as good as it can be. And if that keeps you straight, you won't have to lift your head quite as often, and that's going to be a win. Because each time you lift your head, even with a wetsuit on, you will slip the legs a little bit, put the brakes on, and then have to re-accelerate. Good, everyone. Last 20 seconds before we hit the surface recovery again. Nicely done. Don't lose concentration. I know you're all thinking about picking up those weights already. But hang in there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good stuff. Quick transition. Paddles off. I'm going to mix up the size of my dumbbells just to put a few little different training effects through this. Nice and slow, nice and accurate. I'm going to revert back to my high elbow. I'm a sort of a classic front crawl swimmer, not a sprinter, where we often see that straighter arm. Lead with the elbow, relax the hand underneath as it recovers down. High elbow on the recovery, high elbow on the pull. Good work. Nice and slow. Just work on the accuracy. Think about, you know, if you're traveling a meter, if your stroke count in a 25-meter pool is 25 strokes, and you travel about a meter with each stroke, you know, in any kind of open water event, we're talking about thousands of repetitions. And for me, quite often, it's the back, rather than the arms, it's the shoulders that fatigue on the recovery. So I like to do this quite a lot, working on the surface recovery, get the strength through the back, the shoulders, so you can keep repeating those many thousands of movements. Good work, everyone, good work. In 10, 5, And back on your course. Good work, good work. All right, same idea. We're down to 3 minutes now. You probably guessed the pattern, 3 minutes of full stroke, submerged recovery. Keep the hands at 180. Remember, we're trying to pull with the hand, tip that elbow out, fingertips point down. We're pulling with the palm and the forearm all the way through. 3 and 2, 3 and 2. Then we've got the even Stevens, we've got 230 and 230, and then we're going to work our way back. So I believe there's 7 rounds in total, 7 rounds for 35 minutes, which you won't thank me today, maybe tomorrow. Let's give it till Friday. Okay, 1 minute gone, 1 minute gone. If, with that in mind, and you're starting to struggle a little bit, maybe take a step forwards or a step up, however you've got your chords set, just to take the pressure off a little bit. If you watch the, if you were here Monday or watched the clip, you might have seen how my paddles are attached to a cord. There's no elastic in this lower part. The elastic is attached above a pulley. So you can see, oh, not quite, the camera's in the wrong position today. There's a pulley just above me before it attaches to the elastic. That means I can keep an even amount of pressure all the way through, which is okay, compared to the elastic versions. So I don't expect you to all go out and buy, but if you see sort of, or if you feel the front of the stroke kind of soft, a little bit too easy, and then it gets too heavy at the back, you could look into making some adjustments. A pulley will really help, rather than having sort of the elastic light, too light at the front, and then possibly too heavy at the back of the stroke. Okay, about 30, just over 30 seconds to go, 30 seconds to go. Tracy, the new bottle arrived for you, didn't it?
Yes, thank you.
You like it?
Yeah.
Colour?
Love the colour.
Excellent.
Nice green. I haven't used it yet.
Sorry? I haven't used it yet.
No, pools are closed.
We've just finished a nice bright yellow one with some running sessions on it.
I hate running.
I knew that wouldn't be your cup of tea. In 3,
I'll have the bottle.
2, 1, and back on the dumbbells, please, or your tins of beans, whatever you've got. Good work. I'm going to go back to my lighter weight. Use what you've got. If the shoulders are a bit creaky, you're grumbling a bit, work on your rotation. Switch from side to side. Switch from side to side. If you stay flat, yes, the shoulders are not going to like this. It will help. You switch from side to side. Stay narrow. Narrow is good in swimming. Narrow will help you slide through the water with great efficiency. Good work, everyone. This is kind of getting to a little bit tough now. We don't always load these muscles for the surface recovery. That's why I'm suggesting very light, if anything, but just get the movement. Because obviously if we're not in the water for a month, and all we're doing is a submerged pull with this normal stretch cords, we are missing out on this element of your swimming technique. About 45 seconds to go, 45 seconds to go. Nicely done, everyone. Okay, mind you, a bit of breathing on this middle one now, okay? If it's too much to sort of include and you're just processing enough with the technical points and counting and whatever else, don't worry, just keep the head nice and still. As long as you're rotating, that's the main thing. So this is why I switch between the two weights. I can feel myself sort of speeding up with the lighter weight and losing a little bit of technique. But with the bigger weights, slow it down and revert back to a better catch position and so on. 3, 2, 1, back on the cords. Good work, everyone, back on the cords. Quick transitions, and away we go. 230, 230. This is the even one. This is the even one. If you can, take a step back, just add a little bit of pressure. Once we hit this one, we're over the worst of things. This is sort of 15 to 20 minutes, and then we will be done at 35 minutes and have a little cool down. Okay, so as promised, I'm going to add a little bit of breathing. Think about the timing of the breath. So I always try to think that the head is a heavy, clumsy object, and the more it bounces, moves around, it will impact your swim technique. So keep it still for as long as possible. Unless you are breathing or lifting to side, it should be absolutely rock solid still. But when it does need to move, try to make it quick. Slowly exhale, exhale, exhale under the water so that when you do turn into it, you get a fast snatch of air. Obviously make sure it is air. It can be a little bit tricky in open water. Make sure it is air and try to get that head back into its neutral, aligned position as quickly as you can. Couple to the left, couple to the right. Obviously I've cleverly reversed that for you since it is via the camera. Actually, no, I just made a mistake. There's 2 to the left, and then 2 to the right. Nicely done. Last 30 seconds, and then I'm going to try for 2 minutes 30 with the weights, working on our surface recovery. If you want another challenge, I tried this the other day, try standing on one leg. Not easy. Tracy, you swearing at me, I heard that.
Maybe.
In 3, 2, 1, back on the weights, please, back on the weights. Okay, this one's gonna creep up a little bit. Start nice and slow. Pivot with the elbow, catch the water. Pivot with the elbow, catch the water. If you're standing upright, you should be on this one because it will give you a chance. If you're horizontal with your stretch cords, make sure you're standing up nice and tall with this one. I know we can sort of bend over and do a little bit of work, but so then that way you get the hips involved, you get the upper body rotating. It all works as it should. It just more closely mimics the full stroke, which is what we really want. You know, it's not ideal that we're not in the water, but let's take every opportunity to recreate what we should be doing in the water. I mean, I did think about trying to stand on tiptoes and work on our streamline, but that was not good. Okay, 90 seconds to go, 90 seconds to go. If you're losing your form, if you're losing your technique, drop your weights. Continue without them, that's not a problem. Better that the technique is there rather than things starting to wobble and suffer just because you've got heavy lumps in your hand. Good, everyone, last minute, it will soon go. If you need to, why don't you switch from a high elbow to a high hand just to see if that's any different. Try to get the pivot in, pulling with the forearm. Get the pivot in. You still want to rotate to make this happen. You still want to be narrow. The shoulders switch from side to side. Good work, everyone. You could even add in some backstroke just to change things up as well. Reverse the arms, enter with the little finger. Pivot at the elbow, so we're still pulling with the forearm and the hand, and we're still staying narrow. If there's a straight arm, you'll know that's not right, because if you were in the water, it would bounce you from side to side. Must pivot. And you can see how the two strokes, front crawl and backstroke, body position-wise, are so nicely similar and do complement each other. 3, 2, 1, fantastic. Good, good. Back on the cords. That's good. 20 minutes done. Oh, I need to switch mine around. 20 minutes gone. Your last 15 minutes. Last 15 minutes. Slide forward if you need a little bit of a breather. Do your best to stay where you can. If you can, shuffle backwards a fraction. That will help. Keep the rhythm. Keep the tempo. Last week we did a little bit of stroke counting. If that helps you and doesn't overly complicate things, count the number of strokes you take in a minute. I'll give you a count shortly. But again, obviously with the chords, it's different to being in the water. You can kind of just speed it up and shorten things and think, oh, that was great. That added another bunch of strokes. I must be getting stronger. In 3, 2, 1, there's your minute start. Keep switching from side to side, keep it long. Don't shorten it just to get a high number. Send the water down towards the feet. There's halfway, there's halfway. When I do say stop, remember there is another minute to come. We're back onto the 3 and 2 now. We're back onto the 3 and 2. So don't just stop or pick up your weights when I say so. We've got another minute coming shortly. Sorry to be so confusing, but I just thought it would help to get a minute stroke count in, just to help keep our pacing up and our rhythm high. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Try to keep that rhythm, keep the pace. How many strokes did you count? Remember it. We'll come back to that just to make sure we're not slowing down and slacking off. Good work, everyone. Add in a little bit of breathing if you want to. Don't leave it too late. Often we see people breathing as the hand's exiting, and obviously that's when things get bunched up and return and sweep across the center line. Get the breath in as the hand travels under the eyes, turning to the side. Try to get the head back to neutral before that hand comes through. You should find that's a lot smoother, a lot more efficient. As the hand travels under, turn into the breath. Get it back into neutral as quickly as you can. Okay, in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and good work. Back onto the dumbbells, back onto the dumbbells if you've got them. If your shoulders are not happy, just go with no weights. Go with no weights, that's fine. Remember, we've done extra on the front end, so there's a little bit less now. We're over the peak, we're over the summit. Good work. So this one is 3 and 2. We'll then be at 3:30 and 1:30, finishing with 4 and 1. And that will be your lunchtime fitness swim course session, all done. If you do have access to a lake and you are one of those people that enjoy cold water, good luck to you. I will not be joining. If you are seriously thinking about getting a bit more work done, I can highly recommend the Vasa swim trainer or the Swim Erg if you've got space. I don't sell them, but I do use them and they are particularly useful. But again, it does have its limitations. It won't replace swimming, but it will supplement. You do need to hop off and get a little bit of upper body rotation work done. You don't want to leave those hips too flat for too long, but highly recommended. Good work. A little over 30 seconds to go. A little over 30 seconds to go. It's flying by, isn't it? More swearing from Tracy. I can hear. Stroke is narrow. High elbow or straight arm, whatever it is. Arm is pulling under the body, or hand at least. It's fine for the elbow to pop out wide. That's good. The elbows will, make that position. If you're not sure, just think about how you pull yourself out of the water. Okay, inside a little bit too, you wouldn't get the leverage. Outside, you wouldn't feel as strong. Somewhere, sort of, in this diamond shape, that's pretty strong, and that will pull you through nicely. Last couple of strokes. Good work, and back on the cords, back on the cords. Just 10 minutes to go, swimmers, just 10 minutes. 2 more rounds, 2 more rounds. Be honest, if you can slide backwards a fraction, or if you haven't got any, you could bend your knees a little bit just to put a little more tension on if you haven't got the ability to move up or down, or slide backwards and forwards. Bend the knees, that will put a little more tension on the cords. Excellent work. Add some breathing if you need to. This is training, not racing, so I would encourage you to breathe to both sides. It will help promote better symmetry. Stop any bad habits from creeping in. If I only ever breathe to one side, there's a good chance that opposite arm will get lazy and lean on it, push the water out to the side, and not help with the symmetry. So a couple of breaths to the right, working on that pivot. Even though I'm turning to breathe, I'm still trying to get that forearm engaged. Come race day, there's a good chance I'll be working hard, and I will want the air coming in every stroke. But it is nice to be able to switch around and mix things up, depending on if someone's drafting with me, or if I'm not drafting them, I want to breathe away from their hand as it exits down by their hip. I might get stuck on their side I'm not comfortable with. It's good to have those options. Okay. Coming up on 2 minutes done, 90 seconds to go. Be honest. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, let's do a stroke count. Keep the pace. Maintain your good technique. Don't lose it in the pursuit of those previous numbers you hit. Okay, here we go. Halfway. "20 seconds to go. 15. This isn't the finish though, we're just going to stop the count, but it's not the finish. Keep going. And there's your minute, Where were you? Were you at that same sort of number? Fantastic. If you did, keep going just for another 20 seconds, and then we're going to pick up the dumbbells. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Quickly onto the dumbbells if you've got them. If not, no problem. 90 seconds of slow motion front crawl. Work on the surface recovery. Think about the muscles that are recruiting. You're at the end of your 10K. You know what it's like at the end of the river dart. Everything's screaming, but these muscles will be strong. The arms recovering. Get the length in the stroke. Give you the opportunity to get that breath in. If things flatten and shorten, then we struggle to get a good amount of air in. And then obviously we speed things up even more to try to breathe even quicker. And it all goes horribly wrong from there. Good, good, good. Last 45 seconds. Nice and slow. High elbow recovery, straight arm recovery, your choice. It's good to be able to switch between the two, depending on what conditions are like, being able to recruit different muscles. So to have sort of 2 swim techniques, not a bad thing, not a bad thing. What happens underwater shouldn't really deviate. You know, in order to go forwards, there's a direction the water needs to be pushed. So the underwater doesn't change much, it shouldn't. But over the surface, you've got some options depending on how rough the water is, how far you've swum, whether you want to just deliberately mix things up so muscles can be refreshed. That would be very advantageous. In 3, 2, 1. Back on the cords. Last time through, I promise. Last time through. Here we go. This is going to help. Can we take a step back? 4 and 1. 4 and 1 to finish, guys. 4 and 1 to finish. We'll do a minute count later. Maybe work on some breathing early on. Keep the hand pulled central under the body. Finish beyond the hips. Remember, the hips are involved. The hips are rolling out of the way. You can exit with a more central pull than you might imagine. You can see how if there's no rotation of the hips, you've got to come around, and then there's a chance that you will drop yourself from side to side. But if the hips are rolling out of the way, that hand can stay pulling central for a little bit longer. That's good, everyone. Good. Excellent. 1 minute gone already. Hopefully you've got a number in mind from those previous blocks. We're going to count shortly for a minute, see if we can hit that same number. Just try to keep the pace, but don't shorten the stroke. Excellent work. 90 seconds gone. On this top, on this 0 in 20 seconds time, I'll give you the 1 minute intro, and let's try to better those earlier numbers. Remember, after this though, keep going, keep going. We're not finished with the 4 minutes. This is just a little segment. In ready, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Good, halfway. Halfway through the count, not the block, sorry. Keep it going. Keep rotating, keep the hands pulling, be honest, pivot early, use the forearm. Keep the head still unless you are adding in some breathing. Three, 2, 1. And that's the end of that minute, but keep going, keep going. 1 more minute of chords, 1 more minute of dumbbells, and we are done. Good work, everyone. Tracy, have you looked at the prices of flights to Lanzarote in January? Oh,
Really?
very cheap, very cheap. I might book mine on a bit of a gamble. I mean, honestly, it's like £45 outbound and £26 return.
Really?
What's the
Wow.
work they're going to give you about? I guess that's without luggage, but it's looking ridiculously cheap. So I might, whether things happen or not, if you know the results of the vaccines are good and everyone's fed up of lockdown, there might be a rush, and then that surge charging might kick in and things might skyrocket. But you know, as long as I've got a voucher, if things don't work, I might just take a chance. 3, 2, 1. Good, everyone. Last part on the chords, on the weights. Last minute. Here we go. Here we go. I would seriously think about adding in a little bit of backstroke now, just to reverse all of that front crawl. The shoulders will appreciate it. You can start to slow it down. Add in some nice breathing. Start to think about your cool down. Remember to switch from side to side. We're entering with the little finger, pivoting at the elbow so I can pull with the forearm, send the water down towards the feet, still closely mimicking those teaching points from front crawl. Head nice and still, doesn't have to worry about turning to breathe, obviously. Got lots of air coming in. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's drop the weights if you had them. Let's do another minute of backstroke, nice and slow. Another minute of backstroke just to cool it down. Double arm would be good if you've got the space. I've got a nice picture of about to come down on me. I'm going to stick with the traditional for fear of breaking something. Hopefully that helped. It'll be up on YouTube later if you want to try it again with all the others. If not, I've just added the Zoom invites for next Monday and Wednesday. Be good to see you then. Hope you enjoyed it. Last 15 seconds, have a little stretch in your own time afterwards as well, just so there's no build up of the nasties and it puts you off your training for tomorrow. Have a little stretch of the arms. If you don't know what any good arm stretches are, ping me an email. I've got a little booklet devised and we can help from there. Thanks everyone.